As we approach 1st January of every year, we come across several videos and articles regarding Bhima Koregaon battle, in which a big battle is supposed to have taken place. So, what is the reason for this battle, one-day battle being given so importance nowadays? A section of the Indian society, to promote their own selfish interests, has highlighted this battle and twisted it out of shape. Instead of projecting it as a war between invading Britishers who occupied our country and ruled us ruthlessly for more than 200 years, they are glorifying and twisting it out of shape, saying that it is a battle between the lower caste Hindu Mahar community and upper caste Brahmin community. So now we shall see what are the full details of this so-called Bhima Koregaon battle. The elaborate details of the composition of the armies are found in history books written by British citizens who are historians, notably James Grant Duff. In his Marathas volume 3, he gives elaborate description of the composition of the army, the duration of the Bhima Koregaon battle, the casualties on both sides are elaborately mentioned together with the ranks and the names. Bhima Koregaon battle refers to a one-day battle between East India Company armed forces and the army of the Maratha Peshwa, who were headquartered at Pune. Before this Bhima Koregaon battle, a number of significant and important events took place. On 17th November 1817, the Maratha army was defeated by East India Company, and they vacated Pune, and the East India flag was flying on the Pune fort. So, as the Maratha Peshwa army started its journey towards South Maharashtra, where they had some more forces, so their idea was to regroup, collect all the remaining forces and launch another attack on the East India Company, which has driven them out of Pune. So in this process, they were camping near the banks of Bhima river, near Koregaon village, and they came across a small team of East India Company soldiers a little further away. So upon inquiry, they came to know that just as they were trying to regroup and launch, East India Company had requested their soldiers from different places to come and stay in Pune and strengthen the defenses of the Pune fort, so that when the Marathas attack again, there will be a strong defense by the East India Company. So we can say that Bhima Koregaon battle, which lasted only one day, was a battle between the army of Marathas led by the Peshwas and the East India Company soldiers led by European officers. Was the Bhima Koregaon battle an important battle that it should be remembered every year, as we are seeing now? So already the Peshwas were defeated by the East India Company. They had vacated and they were sent out of Pune by the East India Company, and they are already on the run. They were already defeated. So we cannot say that already a decisive battle has taken place 2 months earlier. So the Bhima Koregaon battle was a chance encounter between the army of the Peshwa and the East India army, which lasted just from morning to night. That's all. So regarding Bhima Koregaon battle, when we read posts in the social media or videos made by several organizations and individuals, we are told about that this battle being a battle between upper caste Brahmins and Dalit Mahar soldiers, in which a small team of Dalit SC Mahar army, defeated a large army commanded by the Brahmin Peshwas. This is the line we are given to whenever we come across these articles or videos. So what is the actual fact, and which are the components of the Maratha army and which are the components of the British East India Company army which took part in this one-day battle of Bhima Koregaon? So when we look at the composition of the British East India Company's battalions, we find that there were 824 troops in the British East India Company's army, out of which 24 were European gunners, 500 troops of the 2nd Battalion of the Bombay Native Infantry, 300 horsemen of the Pune Auxiliary Horse, which was later called the Pune Horse Regiment of the Indian Army, along with a contingent of artillery with a few guns under the captainship of Francis Taunton, the British Army East India Company army officer. Thus, we can see that the British East India Company army comprised of Europeans, Muslims, Marathas, Mahars, Rajputs, and there were even a few Jews who were part of the East India Company army. So, it was not an exclusive army of Mahar regiment or an exclusive army of Hindus. It was an army of East India Company under the captainship of Europeans, the several European officers and soldiers, and several communities represented in the army. On the Maratha side, 3 important companies took part, comprising of 600 soldiers each, totaling 1800. That is, against the East India Company's strength of 824, the Maratha army consisted of 1800 soldiers. They were Arab Muslims, that is 600 soldiers of the Maratha army were Muslims. Then 600 army soldiers were Gosain or Naga Sadhus. And another 3rd battalion was of 600 strength, comprising all castes representing Maratha army. Not only one, either Brahmins or Kshatriya like that, but all castes of the Hindus were comprising of the 3rd battalion. So these were the strength of the armies on both sides. In addition, later on, after the battle was over, the East India Company erected a memorial at the place where the battle took place, on which the names of the participants on the East India Company army side who were casualties, who laid down their lives in this Bhima Koregaon battle, they are inscribed on the 4 sides of the Bhima Koregaon monument set up by East India Company. So what are the casualty figures on both sides? So in this one-day battle between East India Company and Marathas, a total of 275 casualties are reported from the East India Company side. The dead included 2 European officers, and other ranks 50 were killed and 105 wounded. Among the gunners, 12 gunners were killed and 8 wounded. So the total dead British East India Company soldiers of Indian origin consisted of 16 Marathas, 22 Mahars, 8 Rajputs, 2 Muslims, 2 Jews, and 11 European soldiers. On the Maratha side, the British historian estimated that of all the 3 companies of Muslims, Naga Sadhus and mixed company, around 500 to 600 were either killed or wounded. So this is the battle casualty figure on both sides of the Bhima Koregaon battle. It was a one-day war between invading British East India Company and a local Marathas who fought valiantly against the Mughals and later on against the Britishers and finally surrendered to them. So this is not a caste war, this is not a war among the Hindu castes, it was not for domination, it was a war between an invader and a local king, that's all. That is the real story behind Bhima Koregaon battle. There is no need to glorify one section of society or degrade another section. All sections of the Hindu society participated on both sides as professional soldiers. If you notice carefully, you will find that 600 Muslims took part on the Maratha side. So if 600, one third of Maratha army consisted of Muslim soldiers, how can it be a war between upper caste Hindus and lower caste Hindus? So they were professional soldiers who joined the different armies for their professional purpose, and they were loyal to the person giving to their salary. If a Hindu joined East India Company, his loyalty was towards East India Company. That is the hallmark of a professional soldier, and that is what has happened. It was not a caste war, it was a war between two forces, one Indian and one foreign. That is the end of the story. Thank you.
మరిన్ని వీడియోల కోసం ఈ యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్కి సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేయండి.